born to those who pledged their lives in sacred honor, was smiled upon by God and freed from chains and iron collar. He is held aloft on unity and by history revered for preserving peace through strength. His wings now reach across 200 years. But for each of those in 1 year more, God has smiled upon the core. From the Barbary coast to the eastern sand, by sword, by gun, or by bare hand. So it's been and shall be weighed. Though many are born, few are made. Faithful always they shall remain. Dogs to loose when war is waged.
Hey guys, it's Good Ink from the Cooler Master Storm Scout Club. I'd like to first start off and say thank you, Cooler Master, for sending me this case. As soon as I found out about the Storm Scout 2, I contacted Cooler Master to try and get a review sample. By the time I actually was able to get a hold of somebody that's able to send out review samples, they were all gone. So he ended up getting back to me about a week later and said, hey, we're going to send you a case anyways. You're leader of the Storm Scout Club. Anything Scout related, that's the place to be, because, you Google Storm Scout and you're going to find the CMSSC. So that's why they sent me this case. Big props to Cooler Master for that. It would have been way cool if I could have got one to review and get everything basically launched as soon as the NADA was, or the non-disclosure agreement would have been up and everything. So, but didn't happen. Maybe next time I'll be able to do something like that. I'm just going to be doing a quick overview. Bear with me. Not used to doing these little video type things, so I'm probably going to say and a lot. I'm probably going to fumble through a couple things too, so I plan on doing a complete review. I'm going to do some temperature comparisons with my Scout 1. It's modded, it's got all the mesh modded out of, or cut out of it and everything, so it's going to be kind of a little bit of an advantage for the Scout compared to the Scout 2, because I don't think I'm going to be modding this too much, if any at all. So I want to be able to keep this around for a long time so I can take measurements and whatnot for everybody. So I'll start off with the front. You have your power LED light, 3 5¼ inch base, and then this large area is basically for your fans. You can have 220 millimeter fans or 140 millimeter fan. You can mount that up high or down low. This entire front is mesh. Dust filtered instead of using a foam dust filtered like the original Scout. One thing that they did not include with this one, with the Scout 2, there is no external 3.5 inch drive, bay adapter, or cover. Gotta kind of give you a ding on that one, Cooler Master. I'm not a big fan of any card readers out there that are 5¼ inch. They're all pretty ugly, and I'm a fan of having a card reader. I use SD cards a lot with photography and everything else, and USB cables are just kind of a pain in the butt to use with cameras, and they're not as fast. So please release one. There's a lot of people that are going to want one, and I know in the past I've bought cases, or not bought a case because they did not have one, so keep that in mind. Onto the back. We have a nice big bulge all the way around. Goes all the way to your hard drives and all the way up towards the very back, so you can route your 8-pin and your 24-pin and not have any problems with cables getting bulged up and binding up on the side of the case and keeping you from getting the side of the case on or fighting it the entire time. Onto the back, we have 2 water cooling grommets for external water cooling. 120 millimeter fan, LED. It's the only one included with this case. Through their feedback from when they were showing everybody this case, they pretty much got the consensus that everybody is going to be more than likely pulling the stock fans out and replacing them with their own fans. It's an enthusiast case, so I kind of agree with that point of thinking, and because it's very rare that I actually keep stock fans in a case. Very, very rare. You have 7 PCI slots. You have your Storm Guard. This is a Cooler Master exclusive feature. It's designed for taking your cases to LAN parties or having them out in a public area, like maybe even an office, but I don't see this case being at an office. It'd be kind of weird. Basically, all you do is you route your mouse and keyboard cables through this, and you screw it on and everything, and they have a padlock clasp right there. And basically, you got to steal the whole case if they want to steal your mouse and keyboard, or they cut the cables, and then keyboard and mouse aren't any good anymore. We'll move on to the back. See, here I am fumbling around again. Alright, PSU does have a filter. This is a new type of filter. This is also the same type of filter design that they have on the front of the case. It's almost like a cloth. It looks like it's going to float air pretty well and be able to catch dust really good. So, be kind of cool to see how this holds up over time and how people like it. It is movable to your 120 millimeter fan mount right there, but they do not include 2 of these. It's just the one. Once the Cooler Master store webpage is up and running for the Scout 2, hopefully they're going to sell these. That way you can have them both filtered. Feet, they are rubber feet, so they're not going to be scratching your desk up. That's not real aluminum, they're plastic feet, but they look nice, so they do the job. And they are screwed on, they're not stuck on with some sort of double-sided tape or whatnot. The side panel, get this so you're not getting a nice reflection off of it. You got a large window right here. It's going to cover everything that you want to see. You're going to be able to see your CPU cooler, you're going to be able to see your graphics card. Right about here is where your second PCI slot would go. Your first one comes all the way up here, so depending on your motherboard, depends on where your graphics card will be. It's going to hide a lot of your PSU wires, and it's going to hide all your hard drives, so it's going to keep it nice and clean looking. You have 220 millimeter fans. Again, these are not dust filtered. Onto the top of the case, you have microphone, headphone, 2 USB 3.0s, 2 USB 2.0s, your LED light switch, power button, reset. These are very nice feeling switches. I do like them. This panel, it feels pretty solid, so I don't think people are going to have problems with this break-in. You have this grill, which is removable. It is not dust filtered. It's basically, its only purpose is to cover up your screw holes for your 220 millimeter fans right there. You're going to have excellent airflow through this. There is no metal chassis covering this at all. It's just got the metal mesh right there with these large honeycombs. So it's very nice. What this case is all about right here, the handle. I love these handles. I wish every case had handles now that I've had a couple cases with them. It's so convenient to have. You don't even have to take this thing to LAN parties to be able to realize and appreciate how nice it is to have a handle on your case. It is completely metal frame bolted to the chassis, so you're going to be able to load this thing completely up and not have to worry about the handle breaking on you. It's got a nice thick rubber coating around it, so it's very comfortable, and it's curved, and it's very ergonomic. The metal frame for the handle does run through these channels right here, so you can grab it by the sides if need be for whatever reason. Alright, I'm going to move into the inside of the case. Alright, so that's kind of dark. I'm going to pause the camera and brighten this up a little bit, so be right back. Alright, Let's go through the accessory pack real quick before I forget about that. Everybody loves going through the accessories. You get a bunch of hard drive rails, ample supply of zip ties. You have about a dozen or so. Speaker case, assorted screws, motherboard standoffs, the padlock clasp like I was talking about earlier, and you get a socket for your motherboard standoffs, which very handy. I love those things. There are also some specialized screws for mounting the front fans. This is your 3.5 inch to 2.5 inch hard drive adapter. You can mount, you're going to want to mount this one first, and you screw them in through the bottom. And then you'll mount your second one right there, screw those in through the sides, and just like a regular hard drive, you're going to put your rails on it, which actually have rubber dampening in there to keep them nice and quiet. You're going to have your cables to the back and slide it in just like so. Go through the front connectors quick. You have the USB 3.0, USB 2.0, reset switch, power switch. Then you have your LED power and hard drive LED, which this one's a little bit different. This one's on a ribbon cable instead of individually with the little twisted up wire. I kind of like that. I wish the reset and power switch would have been included on this. If you like the sleeve, it would have made it really nice. You could have just done everything in one sleeve and been done with it. But oh well. Front audio connectors, you have HD audio and AC97. Cooler Master, I know you're watching. Quit using AC97 connectors. Nobody uses them. They're ugly. They're a pain to get rid of. You're going to get some noob that's going to end up cutting this off right next to the HD audio, and then he's going to wonder why it doesn't work anymore because he cut the ground loop. So, we have grommeted cable pass-throughs, which Cooler Master has a very large, ample, very tall. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very tall. It makes it for a nice wide opening so you can pass all your cables through there without it bunching up and making it hard for the back panel to go on. The Cooler Master grommets have very thin flaps, which I like because they don't get in the way and it's really easy to pass your cables through. Some of the other ones out there, they got these really thick ones and it just makes it a pain. You have very large CPU cutout. Not too many people should have problems with that. You have your CPU power pass through right here, and you can pass through fans and anything else. You have another one right there, and then one in the above the 5 1/4 bays. It'd be like right up in here. This one's to pass through all these cables coming from the front connector. You have a tie down right there, which is very thoughtful. You got your SATA cables and power cables coming to your 5 1/4 inch drives. You're going to be able to tie them up and out of the way and make it all look nice and clean. You have your 120 millimeter fan right here, which I'll show you the cord real quick. It's got a fairly decent long cord. It's not ridiculously long, but it is long enough to be able to pass through and get to the front of your motherboard if need be. They don't use toolless on the PCIs. They just have thumb screws, but I'm actually a fan of that because nobody really has a great toolless design out there, and thumb screws just work. So I am very fond of thumb screws. You have 7 hard drive slots, 4 in the top, 3 in the bottom. You have another 120 millimeter fan mount right on the front of this one. this panel right here is removable. This allows for longer graphics cards. This panel though is not. Unfortunately, it is riveted in. This one comes out with the 5 screws. You have 2 there, and then 1 on the back. I know some people are concerned about airflow. I'm trying to get some good lighting here. Let's try going this way. There we go. You got very, very large openings. I mean, you can see how large that is. So you're gonna have pretty good airflow through this. This one's just has the same size openings. So even if you have hard drives in there, you're gonna get pretty decent airflow through there. So the PSU has rubber mounts right here. I think that about covers everything here. Go ahead and go to the back side. Okay, this is your connector for your LED fans. From what I can tell, these are actually wired a little bit different than the rest of the Cooler Master fans that they have out there. It looks like the same connector that the Trooper has, but I believe these are actually getting power from the fan. There's no power cable going to the front power switch at all, so I have to look into that a little bit more. I'll let you know what I find out in the review. Yeah, cable tie downs here, there. Another one here, and 3 more right here. So you got plenty of places to keep your cables nice and tidy. You have a nice pass through right here. It goes all the way up, and you have another little pass through right here for your hard drives. Go ahead and go to the front of the case. Yes. We'll talk about the honeycomb here. This is a very, very large honeycomb design. I like it. You can kind of see it through the front, which gives it an interesting look, and they follow that theme through to that top grill. This is to allow better airflow, because as you can see, this is all open. And like I said, it has that new filter mesh in here also, so you shouldn't have too much problem with dust. You have 120, 120, or 140 and 140. They allow pass through for your fans, so that's pretty cool. This is your actual power LED. It has a diffuser on the front right here, a second diffuser, and that's your first one. And this looks like it's going to be really easy to change out. It's just a 5mm LED in there, so you'll be able to color match your LED fans and everything else. So, let's move on to this top grill real quick so you can get a peek underneath this and how it's removed. And it's just 6 tabs holding it in place, and no dust filtering again. And there's your fan mounts. You do have a fan pass through right there, and if you have a radiator that has barbs that are real close together in the center right there, you might be able to actually fit a rad on the top of this. So be kind of interesting on how all that will work out. I've got to take a look at the H100. I know my XSPC rads I won't be able to mount on top unless I cut this area out. So that covers just about everything for quick overview. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a full review. I'm going to do some comparisons between the Scout and the Scout 2, including temperature comparisons. This is my only air cooler, so if anybody would like to donate me an air cooler, please give me a PM. I would like to do some overclocking temperatures, but you all know how good these Intel coolers are. I'm not going to be able to do too much. I'll even return it back to you. Gonna do a bunch of measurements on here, so if anybody's wanting any specific measurements, let me know. I'm gonna be taking measurements from here to here, from this point back, after I get a regular sized PSU mounted in there. I'll get a motherboard thrown in here, do some measurements from the top, and see what type of clearances we have for fans and radiators and everything else. So, yeah. You guys have a good one, and see you soon.